This is the YoloBox Pro. It's an Android tablet that is a video switcher, a video encoder, a live stream broadcaster, a monitor, and a recording device. All in a small Android tablet that's just in a chunky case with a few extra additions. It is a unique way of going live, and for the DJ who wants to live stream their DJ sets but has got past just using a phone to go live and wants to have a bit of a better broadcast with multiple camera angles, great audio, maybe the ability to bring in comments from your viewers and have overlays and pre-roll video and that kind of thing. In other words, make it more professional. This could be the correct way to go for you. In this review, we're going to take a look at this, a quick tour through the features, always talking from the point of view of DJs wanting to go live on their own. I'll talk to you about what you need to get it going, how it works, what we liked and didn't like about it, and a few of the alternatives that are out there for this unit. By the end of this, you'll be sure whether this is something you want to look into further to level up your DJ live streams. As ever, if you enjoy this, you should join Digital DJ Tips. There's a link underneath. Click that and become our latest free member of the world's leading DJ school. Right, let's get going with the YOLO Live Pro. So, as I said, this is a box. It's an Android box, although it is customized so that when you turn it on, all you see is this software. So you wouldn't really know it was Android unless you're used to using an Android phone, for instance, in which case some of the bits and pieces around will seem strangely familiar. But it's got the input and output stuff on it, which make it kind of unique. So let's talk through what's different compared to a usual Android tablet. Well, firstly, it's bigger and chunkier. It's really nice. It's well built. And the reason it's bigger and chunkier is it's got all this input and output stuff on it. So for instance, we've got inputs for 3 HDMI cameras. You can take a clean output from DSLRs, for instance, or from GoPros or whatever you want to plug in here, and you've got 3 inputs. It's also got an input for a USB-A to a, well, I would use that for a webcam. I've actually got a webcam plugged into the USB-C, but you've got 2 choices there, 2 inputs and outputs to and from a computer. You've also got an Ethernet input. This works on Wi-Fi like all tablets do. It also works on 4G because you can plug an SD card into it. So you can go live directly over Ethernet, Wi-Fi or 4G, no need for a computer at all. You can plug in an extra monitor screen here on this HDMI, although the screen that's built in is really good. You've got audio inputs for both a microphone and a line input. This is where you would plug in your DJ controller or your DJ mixer. And finally, you've got a USB-C for powering the thing when everything else is plugged into it. So if you're going to take one thing away from this video, take away the fact that this is harnessing the power of an Android tablet, but giving you all the inputs and outputs that you would have on a really pimped up computer in order to go live. And for those reasons alone, this is a really unique proposition. Now, of course, you are going to have to add your cameras to it. You're going to have to add, I've got a webcam plugged in here, I've got a DSLR plugged in here. Your microphone would probably plug into your DJ controller, but you could plug a microphone in around the back as well. You're going to want tripods and lights. You are going to need extra stuff. It hasn't even got a camera built in. It's got a microphone built in, but no camera built in. So not that you would ever want to use the camera if you're going to go and buy a tablet just for going live. You're at that point looking at better cameras. But just to say, you are going to need all that stuff for going live. So, what does it do? Well, to start with, let's talk about what it live streams to. This live streams to YouTube, Twitch, and to Facebook in the box. Like you can just press a button and log in and go. It also live streams to their own platform called YoloCast. YoloCast is similar to Restream. If you know about Restream, it's a way of sending one signal to the internet, and then that software in a browser splits that signal and sends it off to YouTube, Twitch, Mixcloud Live, anywhere you want. And so you can have lots and lots of different streams going from the same upload to the internet, and that saves the power of the unit, stops the unit getting overpowered and getting a bit creaky, but also saves you having to worry too much about whether the internet's up to it, because obviously the more things you stream to, the wider the bandwidth that's needed on the internet. This box can actually go live to 3 things at once, But I would recommend if you want to do more than one service, then definitely use something like Restream or YoloCast, their own service. But we'll talk about that in a second. So let's have a look inside. So this is the kind of screen you get when you turn it on. There are a few settings you can get to here. Here's where you connect to your streaming platforms and also to ones that haven't got a built-in login here. So for instance, Mixcloud Live, you connect here. Here's where you can put in your network settings and all kinds of other stuff. And you can also access any recordings you've got on the SD card here as well that's plugged into the unit. Once you're done there, it asks you to choose whether you want to do a live stream or to record. Now I'm going to create a live stream. You give your live stream a title, and if you want to schedule it, you can schedule it here as well, and then click create, and then it's going to drop you straight into your live stream. There we go. Let's go. So in this screen here, we see the feeds from our cameras. This is camera number 1, this little webcam I've got here, and this is camera number 2 there, which is my DSLR here. And this is basically where we control the whole thing from. I can make that go full screen. So typically when we were live, we'd have this tucked away by our DJ gear. We'd be DJing away and we'd see this and we could see what was going on. We can actually change, it's worth showing you this now while I remember, change the resolution here that we're going live with. But this is where you would see that, and where you wanted to control a bit further, you click in here. You've got all these controls down here as well. We can tap on the cameras and they'll change in there. Now you can change the way it slides between the cameras and make it look different, but essentially this is where you do it. Now you can add other video sources here. You can literally add video to drop in, like a piece of video to play before you go live, or a be right back video. You can even have video playing in the background while you have a composite image of 2 of these on the screen at once. So it's really quite clever the way you can do stuff like that, all from just tapping the screen. And as I say, when you're DJing, it's not hard to do. Let's look at some of the things down here. We've got the ability here to add overlays. Now there's lots of overlays we can add. We can add overlays that we've created on the web. I'll tell you how you do that in a bit. You can add images that are on your SD card, lower thirds, titles. There's lots of choices of titles and you can dive into those and change the text in them and all that kind of thing. So there's lots and lots of ways of adding stuff over the top there to keep it interesting. Back to that screen there. Countdown timers, social overlays that give your social handles. It's all very easy to set up, and then they're just waiting there for you to tap and put into the broadcast. Here is back to those different places to broadcast from, so you can change those kind of on the fly here. Then you've got guests, you can drop in guests. The very adventurous DJs could even find a way maybe of doing kind of back-to-back sets using that. It's not something we've tried, but look, you can drop in guest visual and audio, so why not? Here we've got the audio mixer. Now the audio mixer is pretty cool. It's got mixes from all your inputs, including the audio inputs. It's not the best though, because there's no EQ, there's no compressor, there is a limiter there, but I would like to see a little bit more added to the audio mixer. Obviously this is important for DJs, but you've got an audio mixer there to help you get stuff nice and loud. A scoreboard is probably not of much interest to DJs, but hey, if you're a silent disco, you might want to score your DJs using a scoreboard. I'm sure you could find inventive uses for that. This is more useful. You can drop in comments from YouTube, Facebook and Twitch directly onto your broadcast and show them on the screen from here. You can't drop them in from Restream or YOLO Live, the aggregator that this company make, and also the biggest one out there, which is a shame. I'd like to see those services added so you can drop comments in from everywhere via those, but still pretty cool. Here we've got auto switch, and this is useful for DJs. It lets you set it up so it will auto switch between the individual cameras without you doing anything. So you can be DJing and it's switching camera angles while you're getting on with it, and it's powerful because you can say my main camera is, and then specify your main camera, and it will cut to that one more often. For instance, if you've got 3 cameras, it can be going camera 1, camera 2, camera 1, camera 3, camera 1, camera 2, and so your main camera gets more of the action. And there's other stuff you can set here as well, which I think is really cool. There's some settings here as well that let you configure it exactly how you want. It is extremely flexible. What you can do with this is great, and if you want to see a much more detailed look at everything you can do with this, go and look at Photo Joseph's really long guide. He just did an exhaustive talk through guide of everything this does. But even since he did that, this has been upgraded to version 3. Version 3 gives you some extra bits and pieces that weren't on the previous version. So for instance, you've got much more powerful multicam. You can crop your video so that you can have a camera and then cut into the bits you want. You can save all your settings. So you could set this up for a particular live stream, a particular way you like to use it, and save it on this screen here. So it's there for you to come back to whenever you want. And that was something that users asked about. Worth pointing out that the company that make this, YOLO Live, seems to be really responsive to what users ask. So I've seen, in the time I've had this sat here waiting for me to review it, I've seen them add loads of features, and some of the features were ones I was going to ask them about and say, hey, why don't you go and add that? So as a platform, it is well supported, which is just as well, because one of the ways you can get more out of this is by subscribing to their YoloCast system. Now that is, as I've mentioned a second ago, it's like a system called Restream, and Restream is quite common and quite popular for getting your stream out there and splitting it to the various services. Restream is the one we use here at Digital DJ Tips. YoloCast in a lot of ways has moved past Restream. It's got a lot of stuff that is beyond the scope of what DJs would want, but it's definitely worth looking into, because you might find that it's worth subscribing to that for some of the features. Not least, you can do some work in there on titles and so on and send them back to this unit, and so they work together. But you certainly don't need something like that to use this unit. This unit is standalone. It will work to go live directly to YouTube or Twitch or to Mixcloud Live or wherever you want to. You certainly don't need to subscribe to their service to do this, which is just as well, because to get a good version of their service, just like to get a good version of Restream, the one we use, you're looking at $75, $80 a month. So it really is for the committed streamer for certain. So this is a good system if you want to use the DSLR cameras or the webcams or the GoPros you've already got, plug them in, plug in your DJ mixer or your DJ controller, get great audio, have the ability to have multi-cameras, and have it all doing its thing with you getting on with the DJing and doing a very good job of it. Then you want to add in overlays, add in pre-roll video, maybe have the comments from your live stream dropped over the top. You can do everything you see us doing here at Digital DJ Tips, basically on a little box like this, which in itself is absolutely brilliant. But it's not the only game in town. There are other ways that you can do this. So if you're watching this video thinking, I'm sick of using just my phone to go live, I want to do live streams, I want to have multicam, I want to have all those things you're talking about, but I'm not sure if this is the right way for me, let me talk you through very quickly some of the alternatives that you could use. So one of the alternatives would be just to use your laptop. Use OBS, which is open broadcast software, which is what a lot of people do. Now, it's probably best off having a second laptop to do that, because the one you're DJing with, assuming you're using a laptop for DJing with, will be tied up DJing, and it's a brave DJ that will switch between OBS and their DJ software. Plus, your laptop might struggle. So most people would use a second laptop. But the downside of that is that you've got to have interfaces to get the audio into the laptop. You've got to have interfaces to get the cameras into the laptop. The expense soon adds up, and the laptop might struggle with all that stuff, all that work to do. But that is one way of doing it, and it's a popular way of doing it. Another way of doing it would be to just use your phone, and this time use your phone with some clever software that you can get to add extra cameras. So believe it or not, for phones and iPads, you can get dedicated software which will use Wi-Fi to bring in cameras from other iOS devices, and they're good because it means if you've got iOS devices knocking around, you don't need to buy, especially if you don't have them, extra cameras. You can just wirelessly have your extra cameras showing on software that looks similar to this software on a tablet and go live. So on the face of it, that can be quite a alluring way to do it, because there's fewer cables and you're not spending money, like I say, but you still need to get the audio in and sounding good, and it is fiddly, and the software is expensive, because I've not found a way of doing that without spending quite a lot monthly on subscription software. But that's another way of doing it. You could also do what I just described, but this time do it using dedicated hardware. One such solution, in fact the only one I know of, is this. It's the Roland Aerocaster. This is a piece of hardware that plugs in to your iPad. You use it with an iPad. Plugs into an iPad. The iPad then becomes the brains of the operation. Again, you just use old phones, old iOS devices as cameras. Again, it's all wireless. But this gets around the problem of not having audio fed in properly, because this has got proper audio inputs, and also it gives you physical faders, physical ways of controlling everything and switching, which you don't get on this. On this, you're tapping it with your hand. You might not mind doing that, or you might prefer to have something that gives you the physical controls. So do look into this one as well, the Roland Aerocaster. It's quite an elegant solution to what we're talking about. Another thing you might want to look at is the little Mevo devices. Now these are cameras with built-in batteries and built-in audio interfaces. They're really quite clever. They come in 1 or 3 packs, and they work again with your iOS device or your Android device. You run the app on there to control them, but basically they do a lot of the heavy lifting. They connect directly to your Wi-Fi, and so this can be a very elegant way of going live again without any wires, and with units that you can take anywhere. The batteries last for quite a long time on these. We've live streamed with these before and got some really good results from them. So it's a nice proprietary way of doing that multicam thing without too much fuss. And finally, you could use an all singing, all dancing system like the one that we use here at Digital DJ Tips in our studio, which is a hardware switcher, kind of a more traditional hardware switcher. We use one called the ATEM Mini Extreme ISO. It's a wonderful system, but it requires you to have a laptop to control it if you want to do the clever stuff. This is our laptop controlling it. As I record this, I'm using the laptop, and we've got all the controls in here, all the media. You can see the mixer, which is obviously a lot better than the audio mixer I just showed you on this unit, but this is a step up further. All the cameras, we've actually got remote control over our cameras here. So there's a lot you can do in here which you can't do on this unit, but it costs an awful lot more. So I would say that using a hardware switcher and dedicated screens and hardware and so on is definitely a step up, and it's not as flexible as this. It doesn't do as much as this. You know, in order to make it do as much as this, you're spending more and more money to add bits to it. So yeah, that's a step up further. So in conclusion, this is, I think it's about $1,000, something like that. So it's not cheap, but when you consider what you're getting here, you're getting a tablet, a powerful tablet. You're getting all the inputs and outputs you could possibly need. You're getting a switcher, an encoder. You're getting recording, live streaming, monitoring. You're getting an awful lot here for your money. Even if you're just going to use it to go live to mainly to Twitch or maybe to Mixcloud Live as a DJ to broadcast, it's worth it if you're looking for that extra flexibility. If you do want to then go further and really explore the features of it, you might want to consider getting a YOLO Live subscription for it, which gives you their platform online that lets you do more, go to multiple platforms and unlock the power of this a bit more, much in the way that the software I just showed you on my screen here helps me unlock the power of my hardware switcher here in the Digital DJ Tips Studio a little bit more. Some of the features here work better when you use them with their own software, but it does get a little bit more expensive when you do that because their software is web-based and it's subscription. But I want to be super clear, you really don't need that extra layer of software for this to be useful. The only thing I'd like to see them do is extend the ability to bring in comments, which it currently does from single social media platforms, to work with Restream, which is the broadcast web app that we use to get to more than one place, and also for their own would be quite cool as well. I'd like to see them improve the audio mixer so that we've got some compression in there at least, and also maybe some EQ, but I can thoroughly recommend this. It is great value for money, powerful, high quality. The company are very responsive and seem to be working very hard to improve it, and there's nothing else quite like it. So if it grabs your fancy, go take a closer look at it. It is a switcher, encoder, recorder and monitor. It's basically an Android tablet with lots and lots of extra inputs and outputs, and a great platform that they've built to support it. We like it and we can recommend it. That's the Digital DJ Tips look from the point of view of DJs at the YOLO Live box. Do go and look at Photo Joseph's review of this, which he did before version 3, which has added loads of improvements, but he goes through every single button, every single use case, and he demonstrates them all. It's a really, really long guide, and I've linked to that underneath as well, because it's fantastic. And it's when we unboxed this is where we learned about a lot of what it could do. So thanks for that, my friend. But meanwhile, this has been Phil at the Digital DJ Tips Studio with our review. Again, if you've enjoyed this review, then please do join Digital DJ Tips. We are the world's leading DJ school, and if you want to learn how to live stream, we have a course that teaches you that. But if you want to learn to DJ as well, we're the place to be. Click the link underneath. It's absolutely free to join. From me in the studio then, get good, get out there, make the moments, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye bye for now.